What's your go-to at McDonald's?
No, I'll tell you Burger King. We did the double,
Whopper. You like Burger King over McDonald's?
That's your worst take, I think.
I like Burger King. The answer is yes.
So that's how this interview series started. It basically started off with the all-intelligent, all-responsible, very knowledgeable Nelk Boys asking Benjamin Netanyahu hard-hitting questions like, what do you prefer, McDonald's or Burger King? And in a weird turn of events, it seems like for one time in life, karma exists and there does seem to be a balance of justice and fairness. The Nelk Boys fans actually turned on them and said, what kind of absolute slop stupidity is this? You're literally talking to someone who is currently breaking Geneva Convention codes, and you're asking him softball questions and making him look like a nice, coy old man.
That having Netanyahu on is like having modern day Hitler.
No, I saw that.
Which is, honestly, guys, I'll be honest, I'm here to... It's a good point. We're here to fucking learn, to be honest, guys.
I love this so much because this is literally one of the biggest indicators of someone who is, first of all, a fraud, someone who is lying and saying they want to learn. They could care less. They literally could have had Osama bin Laden in their studio on September 12th, and they would have asked him, what do you like more, Arabic food or Mediterranean food? Is there a difference between the two? And if you had to make a home-cooked meal, how would you do it? They literally, unironically, have brain IQ so low that they don't even understand. I almost feel bad for them because they're the type of people where they have this type of fame, they have this type of pull, they have this quote-unquote platform, which, as corny as it sounds, Joe Budden says it all the time, where he says, this is a platform. A lot of people listen, a lot of people watch. You have to be careful with what you do with your platform. They literally had Benjamin Netanyahu in their studio, and even on a basic level, on a very basic, let's take this as a, let's say it's not Netanyahu, let's just say it's Emmanuel Macron, the French president. You're so stupid, you're so dumb, you're such a waste of space academically as well as just commonsensically that you are not even asking any questions that have anything to do with anything. And you don't even have the shame to be that stupid. You don't even have the shame to be that. Just like how there's people like JonTron who in the past sound like a complete idiot on the Destiny stream. It is so disrespectful that you have so much free time. You don't work a 9 to 5. You don't have to get up early and go to bed late. You are a bum. You podcast and show gambling games to little kids, and you don't have the respect to do 5 minutes of Wikipedia reading to ask something. And this is the best part. The best part is that you have Benjamin Netanyahu, you have this person in your room. So they do attempt to ask some questions, but they do so timidly and try to give him softball questions where him and his boys, the Mossad that are in the room, basically making sure to edit this and make sure everything is primo pristine, are literally just getting handheld like layups. Like, hey, Mr. Netanyahu, here's a basketball. You want to make a dunk with a trampoline? And he's like, yeah, I do. I actually do want to do that. Why don't you let me?
Why do they say Israel's like starving the people of Gaza?
Well, because we're trying to get the food in, and we let food trucks in, and guess what happens when we let them in? Hamas steals the food, takes the good chunk for itself, then they jack up the prices, and then they sell the food to its population, to its hungry population, if they give them at all, and then use the money that they take from their own people to recruit more killers into their terror machine.
Absolutely amazing. I find it so amazing that the Nelk Boys literally sat there and let someone just push out literal Zionist propaganda from the horse's mouth itself. It's literally the root of the current political landscape of Israel that is being pushed and basically being essentially, to believe it or not, Israel at this point is basically being pimped out by Netanyahu. Netanyahu is randomly bombing Syria. He's randomly bombing Lebanon. He's randomly bombing anywhere he can bomb. He's making war threats to Iran every Tuesday. Anything to avoid elections, anything to avoid the Supreme Court ruling against him to get him out of office. And you have him sitting in your presence. You don't ask any hard-hitting questions. And the thing that bothers me the most, the thing that makes me absolute sick, is that when they were pressed on this, their big defense was, Oh, I don't know much. I'm not intelligent. I don't know much of anything. When it comes to this stuff, politics, I'm dumb.
We were unequipped to interview him. I'll be honest, we walked in there uneducated. I wish we knew a lot more. I wish we could go back in time and grill him 1,000 times harder.
Are you kidding me? Are you literally kidding me? And this is another thing that's so cringe about this, is that these losers, because they make all their money from begging individuals on podcasts to buy their gambling games, because they basically only exist if people let them exist, they saw the negative outpouring of people saying you are absolutely out of your mind for not only having this person on your podcast, which honestly, you're idiots. You don't have any political clout. You don't even bother to pick up a book. You're literally home 24/7. You could at least pick up a book. They then, because they see that their fans are turning on them, do a complete 180. And this is the point where it is absolutely comical, because what were they even trying to do? Let's pretend that they were trying to inform their viewers. They're trying to say, let's get two sides of every story, and let's try to be, a little bit more considerate. And even the common talking point in a lot of countries, and America included, is that, and it's technically true, it's one of those things where two things can exist, is that just because Netanyahu is literally Satan and he's basically going on this warpath, it doesn't necessarily promote or then allow you to be anti-Semitic. Now, when I say anti-Semitic, I mean literally going against Jewish people. Saying that you don't support a war is not anti-Semitic. Saying that Netanyahu is literally the living incarnation of the devil is not anti-Semitic. What is anti-Semitic is that after they had an interview with Netanyahu, they then, because they saw their fans basically blow them up and basically send them to a different dimension, they then try to course correct. And by trying to course correct, they go from interviewing Benjamin Netanyahu to then going to talk to Nick Fuentes.
I've heard your name a lot. I don't know your stance on a ton of stuff. But I think
Nick,
it'd be
you're
good
all
for you
over.
to...
You're all over my ex.
I'm not on X too much.
I'm all over your ass?
No, you're my ex.
Oh, X.
Yeah.
I said your ass.
No.
Who's your ex?
No, bro, Twitter.
Wow. So they go from Benjamin Netanyahu to Nick Fuentes. And by the way, if you're going to put Benjamin Netanyahu in a room and Nick Fuentes in a room, Nick Fuentes looks like Jesus Christ. Nick Fuentes looks like the literal prodigal son of the Lord. He is literally, unironically, 8 zillion times better than Netanyahu. If Nick just went towards the ideological path, and if his memes were just memes, I would say he's a decent person. He has good ideas. He has good things that he says. I just can't co-sign everything he says, because much like other individuals who have existed in the past, they go down this extreme route, this meme route, and you can't differentiate what is fact and what is fiction. If you want to know more, you can see my thoughts on Nick Fuentes. But in this context, he actually makes a great point. He actually makes an amazing point. And his point was that in no universe were they ever going to get a real interview. In no universe is it going to be the case that they're just going to talk to Netanyahu. He's going to be honest. That's not going to happen. It's actually going to be the fact that the entire point, the entire ploy is to go there and spread propaganda and basically be disingenuous.
This is my, and again, I haven't seen the whole interview, but I think that people are being critical. They see this as like a push by Netanyahu for public relations. He's going to come on your show to try to get all the young, conservative, frat guys, all the masculine men, the manosphere types, streaming types, to get back in the pocket of Israel. And I think they see you guys as basically doing PR for Israel.
Absolutely, positively true, and absolutely, positively hilarious. That again, but here's the thing: how do you go from interviewing Netanyahu to then in the same week having interviews with Nick Fuentes and Myron Gaines? Myron Gaines, who at this point is trying to one-up Nick Fuentes with the anti-Semitic memes, where he's literally going on podcasts and basically having discussions about why an Austrian painter may have been justified for the atrocities he committed, because maybe the certain group of people that were a part of that atrocity didn't take accountability for what contributed to it. Absolutely insane, absolute meme extreme. Definitely trying to either A, get a lot of the edgelords in his audience hyped up, or B, he might just be a honeypot. Remember that if someone sounds too extreme, it's a honeypot. There will be Winnie the Pooh nearby, and there will be bees buzzing. But the point I'm trying to make here is believe whatever you want to believe. If you want to be a diehard Zionist, which I think is wrong, believe that. Stand by that. But if you're that, be that. If you're a diehard anti-Semitic, anti-Israeli, well, the two are not the same. Anti-Semitic, honestly, Myron Gaines at this point, he trying to take Nick Fuentes' spot. But if you're anti-Israeli, anti-Zionist, then be that. But why is, and they went and talked to Hassan Abi too, where they're trying to go on this like weird apology campaign. It's like when Dog the Bounty Hunter got caught saying the N-word, and then he had to go around talking to all these different black reverends and black people and be like, oh, when I die, I want to get buried where the slaves are buried, because I learned, guys, I know what it's like to be racist, and it's not white. I honestly have no respect for these people. But then again, maybe I'm wrong. Why am I trying to hold any type of esteem or any type of respectability to the Nelk Boys? They're literally downgraded Barstool Sports. Like, oh my God, please God Almighty. Let me wait a second. Let me make a prayer real quick. Please God, let Dave Portnoy, who is a diehard Zionist, see this and ban the Nelk Boys from anything Barstool related, please. Amen. Because at the end of the day, the Nelk Boys are unironically using their popularity for the wrong reasons. And not only is it the wrong reasons, they don't even know what they're doing. They're just yapping, they're blabbering, they're saying anything, they're copping pleas. They're literally doing anything to try to get their audience to not hate them. Like that's the thing that they're really worried about. They're worried about their audience being mad at them. They're worried about their audience saying that they don't like what they're doing. They're worried about their audience saying that what they're doing is wrong. They don't know. They literally are brain dead frat bro losers who don't even know what is going on in the world. They don't care. They literally don't care. And the thing is, you got to understand, like, from my perspective, I respect all the fans that basically said, you guys are literally shot. You guys are literally unironically retarded. Well, actually malicious, but then as the week went on, you just saw how dumb they were, and they literally were unironically mentally incapacitated because they at no point really understood or knew what they were doing. Even when they talked to Nick Fuentes, they would say, oh, I've seen some of your videos on X, because that's pretty much the only place you can see Nick Fuentes' X. I've seen some of your videos on X, and, I don't know everything you say, building up the plea, you know what I mean? Building up, they know that Nick Fuentes is out from the Republican Party. They want to pretend like they don't, because they don't know anything. They're innocent. They don't know anything. They want to pretend like Nick Fuentes is just some conservative guy who is going to educate them, which he did. Unironically, he actually, if they paid attention, told them something that is useful. But again, they literally will blow with the wind. If their fans had came out and said, oh, Chai Israel, we are so happy. You are the best. You are amazing. They would have pulled a Floyd Mayweather and leaned into it and said, oh, I never wanted to be a hero of the Jewish people. I never wanted to do that, but I'm proud to have done that. They literally, unironically, have nothing going on upstairs. Anyone who watches them, I hope that even if you are a young, drunk, off the White Claw moron, you see this and say, why would I ever listen to someone who has a podcast, by the way? Why would I ever listen to someone who doesn't even know what they stand for? They're American and they don't have any political ideas about the man who literally just cost this country several $100 million because we needed to go and pretend like we supported their efforts in Iran and drop bombs on a bunker that was empty. Do you understand that? That money could have been used more constructively for the United States of America. It had to be used for political theater. It had to be used for a political ploy just to make Netanyahu happy, just to have him calm down, just to have Donald Trump feel like he's still in power and say, you know what, guys, we had to spend a couple $100 million to drop the bunker busting bombs because Netanyahu told me so. You literally, as someone who is a supposed neoconservative, someone who's a new conservative individual, had nothing to say. You had no feelings, even on the most basic level. Wow. What is the point of even having that person in the room? What is the point of even having a podcast when you have nothing to offer? You're literally sitting there as probably a 35, 40-year-old man pretending to be in their late 20s, saying you don't have the context. You don't know. Meanwhile, you have a team of people around you. They do the show prep. I know you don't do the show prep. You don't work a regular job. I cannot stress this enough. If you are a full-time streamer, a full-time YouTuber, a full-time whatever, and you don't actually work a job, you have the gall to be misinformed when you're going to go and have an interview with a foreign nation's leader. You don't have any respect for yourself. You have zero respect for yourself. And if you watch this, how stupid are you that you contribute and fund this type of stupidity? Like, even Joe Rogan would have done a better job, and Joe Rogan has the opinion of whoever's in the room with him. Depending on who's in the room, that's who Joe Rogan is. So if Joe Rogan's in the room with Tofu, it's basically two negatives make a nothing. Nothing's going on. But at least Joe Rogan pretends to know things and does things and at least asks some questions and do some things. But the Nelk boys have the gall to sit there with Benjamin Netanyahu, give him softball questions, and then assume the moment the fans say that they don't appreciate what they did, without thinking, seeing their revenue potentially get hurt, they immediately reverse course, start talking to Nick Fuentes, start talking to Byron Gaines, and they don't even know what they're talking about. They go there, show up, and say, I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn. I can only learn through podcasts and other podcasters, and I'm going to sit here and basically pay the toll because they're so lazy that they think that if they go on these shows and platform these other people with other ideas, that their fans will be happy. But at the end of the day, they're still as dumb as they ever were. They have no education. They have no respect for themselves or respect for their country. Because as an American, how do you sit in the room with a foreign nation? You're a representative of the country. You have the American flag in the background. You have a suit on, and you don't have the bare minimum respect. You have the flag in the background, and you don't have the bare minimum respect to do some research about a country that's draining money from the United States of America, about a country that currently is doing an ethnic cleansing and using American dollars to do that. You don't have the gall. You don't have the intelligence to care about that. Why do you exist?